So I'm speaking here with Amy Goodman of Democracy Now! I caught up with you minutes before you were arrested in the protest. So what happened?
Well, that was 7th and Jackson. It was Monday, Labor Day. I had just come from the convention floor. I was interviewing people in the hottest state, Alaska, and then went over to Minnesota to catch some delegates. And I got a cell phone call that said our producers were being arrested and were bloodied. And I said, what? So I went from the convention floor racing with my cameraman, Bert Rowley of Big Noise Films, and we ran down to Jackson and 7th here in downtown St. Paul. It was a parking lot where there had been a protest, and the police moved in on all sides, and they had arrested a lot of people. When we got there, I just saw a long line of riot police, and I went up to the police and I said I wanted to speak to their commanding officer, that our producers were inside, we were fully accredited, we hang our credentials from our necks, and that I needed to get them freed. And within a second, they grabbed me, they pulled me through the police line and said I was under arrest, and they were grabbing my arms behind me, twisting them behind me, putting on those rigid plastic handcuffs, and put me against the wall and then pushed me down on the ground. And I said I demanded to see Sharifa Gokadus and Nicole Salazar, my producers. I heard they'd been bloodied, I thought they were hurt, and I needed to see them. I saw Sharif across the parking lot. He was handcuffed, his hands behind him, his arm was bloody, but there were his credentials hanging from his neck. They brought me over to him. I was about to be processed there on the site. And I said, look, we're credentialed journalists. Just let's get Nicole Salazar and let us go. Whereupon Secret Service came over and they pulled our credentials. They pulled my top security clearance that allows me onto the convention floor. I demanded to see Nicole. I heard that her nose was bloodied. They wouldn't let me go then, but when I got into the police wagon, she was there. And there she was with her credentials right there around her neck. We were all arrested. They were arrested, the police told me, for PC riot, which is probable cause riot. I was arrested on a misdemeanor count of obstruction, ironically enough, of a peace officer. I was brought to the police garage where they set up the cages for the protesters, and I was processed there. As I kept repeating, I'm a journalist, you shouldn't be doing it, one of the police officers was shouting, you shut up, you shut up. In fact, when I was in the parking lot, very afraid what had happened to our producers, I said, one of our producers has a bloody nose. This is outrageous. And the police officer said, oh, come on, a bloody nose? He said, I've been knifed in my life, he told me. And I said, that's terrible, but that isn't because of us. This is because of you. She was in police custody. And then I heard the story of what happened to Nicole. She told me in the police wagon. They had run down our offices right near there in St. Paul, where we're working while we're here, and they heard a commotion. They went downstairs with cameras, Sharif and Nicole. Nicole was filming, and the riot police came right at her. She said, press, press. You see it in the videotape. It's very frightening. They say, face on the ground, and then you hear her scream as she goes down and her camera goes down. They put their boot or their knee in her back. They're pulling on her leg, and she gets her face bloodied. And Sharif is thrown up against the wall, and he's kicked in the chest and the back. This is unacceptable. We need a press in this country that can operate freely.
So do you feel like the arrests like this will call attention to the oppression of journalists in this country?
I think it's very important that the authorities in this country allow the press to operate freely. We are the eyes and ears. We are holding those in power accountable. Let's not forget what Thomas Jefferson said, that if he had a choice of a government or newspapers, he would choose the latter. Yes, it's very important. There's a reason why our profession is the only one explicitly protected by the U.S. Constitution.
And do you feel like
we are the check and balance on power?
And do you feel like high-profile arrests, like the arrest of you, will call attention to that?
I think it makes people afraid, that they think they can't go into the streets. Reporters are afraid of what will happen to them. It is not acceptable that chilling effect exists in the United States of America. On that note, I got to go cover something.